Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Excited to have my buddy Trevor Shettron here with us today. He runs a sizable business in the Oklahoma City market, does some TV advertising, really has a scaled up operation. He's going to talk about kind of going through COVID and other issues, really just how to scale your business and build it in a way to where you can overcome adversity that we're all going to face, changes in the market, COVID, things that you can't even really predict yet, just things that kind of pop up. I think it's going to be some insightful information for you to apply to your business.
Professional real estate investors know that it's not really about the real estate. In fact, real estate is just a vehicle to freedom. A group of over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors from across the country meet several times a year at the Investor Fuel Real Estate Mastermind to share ideas on how to strengthen each other's businesses, but also to come together as friends and build more fulfilling lives for all of those around us. On today's show, we're going to continue our conversation of fueling our businesses and fueling our lives. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, Trevor, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be exciting to have a little time here with you.
Yeah, excited to have you on. I know you're in transit going from Oklahoma to Colorado, so glad you could join us remotely. Everything we do these days is remote, right? So it doesn't really matter where we're
at. Yeah, exactly.
So it's great. I mean, honestly, I love the topic we're going to talk about today because I think a lot of people have built businesses. A lot of real estate investors are especially when you're a small shop, your business is so fragile. It's kind of dependent upon you. If you get sick or something happens or things happen in your business, you lose a key person, it can wreak havoc on our businesses. And I know that's even true for you too, or even bigger businesses. But I think the discussion it's perfect timing to talk about how do you build, not so much a bulletproof business, but a business that can overcome adversity, the types of things that we've had going on here lately. Who knows? I kind of joke about the alien spider monkeys are coming next. I don't know what's going to happen for us. There's maybe some aliens later in the year. But anyway, why don't you, before we kind of jump into that, I know you've got some great information to share with us. Maybe you can just take a moment and just tell us your background and how you got into real estate investing.
Okay, you bet. Yeah, thanks. Well, how did I get in the real estate business? By accident a little bit. When I got out of college and looking for a job, I got into financial planning and insurance sales and that kind of stuff. And it's just miserable. It wasn't me at all. And I went back to school to work on my master's, and I got into coaching and actually coached some college football. Found the girl that I ended up chasing down to Oklahoma from Colorado and married, got down there, and I got in the mortgage business a little bit. And then I found myself somehow I had quite a bit of food service experience. I got into managing convenience stores, and I was doing that, and I was just like, this isn't going anywhere. I don't like this, whatever. So started thinking about just growing up, people that I admired, people that were well off and seemed to have the kind of life that I wanted to. And most of those people were involved in real estate somehow. So in 1999, I got my real estate license and became just an agent. Back then, I maybe had a cell phone for a year. I didn't have a computer, nothing. It was a yellow pad and a lot of hard work. So
yeah,
you could really, I think it still applies, but it's different today, the activities. Back then, you could pick up the phone and you could really grind it out and really outwork people. Sure. So I made a living calling expired listings and for sale by owners, and was doing, I was the superstar of the office, but I was still broke. So, their definition of winning was a little bit different than mine. So about 2003, I had the opportunity to, I started thinking, how can I do this business? I love real estate, but I knew I didn't want to chase for sale by owners and expireds and keep doing that. So I had the opportunity to go to work for the company 1-800-2-Sell Homes that I now own, was hired just as an acquisitions guy. Fast forward, I worked for the company almost 10 years. I think that it's a good example of what a lot of people getting in this business skip, and they go right to trying to be the end all, and they don't take the approach of learning the business from, an experienced person or people, or getting that education.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, I was working for this company, learning everything I could. Kind of the old saying of, provide a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish and he can eat for life. So I didn't make a lot of money. I wasn't building my own portfolio or anything, but I feel like I was gaining knowledge that was irreplaceable. So fast forward, my partner, who is most of the people that know me know him, Carter, is an attorney, and I actually had hired him for the prior owner to be his general counsel. So we got to know each other and worked together for a couple of years. And then when the opportunity came, we were able to buy the company, and that was back in 2015. So we've been rocking and rolling since then, and learning the hard way, and also we had learned a lot of the hard mistakes so that we didn't have to overcome. So
yeah, that's great. That's how you learn, is through failing forward, right? And so
exactly.
Yeah. So we're talking about kind of COVID brought this up, I guess, and lots of other political issues, or just lots of just noise going on in our lives these days that, it's like some people, it hamstrings them. Some people are moving forward right through it. But I think at any rate, it caused a lot of small businesses to try to figure out, how do I move forward, right? There's clearly some industries, some restaurants, and some small businesses just aren't coming back from this. In our business of real estate, there's still distressed sellers and people that want to sell. Plenty of opportunity here. But it always causes us to sit back and say, what can I do differently? How can I do this better, right? And I know we're going to share some of those lessons today. So one of the things you mentioned ahead of time was you guys have had a brand that's been being built for a long, long time. Talk a little bit about the importance of a brand, having a brand on getting through a troubled time, if you will.
Yeah, as I mentioned, in 2003, the brand started, and we've done a lot of TV. So in the Oklahoma City market, we're pretty well-known household name. And we've done some different things over our ownership that didn't always build on that brand. And we found that, during those times, leads got down, opportunities were less. So we've really tried to lean on that. And it takes time to build a brand and credibility. Consistency is, very important. During this time, we found that a lot of people were calling us solely based on knowing that we're a reputable company, that they could call and ask questions and get information from. So a lot of our activities that going forward here are going to be focused solely on furthering that and leaning on that, and just really focusing on being a local expert and loyal and trusted, and your next door neighbor. So
I know you guys do a lot of TV advertising, and so that branding is important. I mean, it's almost like, on some level, not that you're going to do this, but if you just stopped all advertising today, you would be able to eat off of that brand for a while. Like, you'd still get deals, leads come through it. So that helps you if you when you stop advertising. For folks that stopped advertising during COVID, like they basically, and they didn't really have a brand built up, kind of everything stops, right? Your pipeline just cuts off. And it doesn't just impact you then, it impacts you for months and years to come. But if you've been building up that brand and been building up that pipeline for a long period of time, you'll continue to benefit from that for months and years to come, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very true. And in fact, we've done some periods of some test periods that we've stopped TV, and the effect is always a delayed effect. Even
Right. So we talked about also kind of running lean. Like everybody, in our business, we always have some overhead that is, you know, we have money going out, whether we're making it or not, or whether the lights are turned off or not. There's still expenses to pay, and so it was an opportunity to kind of revisit and say, can I have some opportunities to cut costs, right?
Yeah, very, very true. What we found first when we shut down, and we're quarantined and people are working from home, what we found out is that a lot of the activities were that we were doing every day were not necessarily critical to the bottom line. We
Yeah.
did a lot of reporting, a lot of basically analyzing of what's going on versus actually generating a lead or a sell, a buy or sell.
Yeah.
So that's really so we did find places where we could cut expenses and overhead. A lot of I'm going to talk more about this, about your organization is that but we had thousands of dollars a month in subscriptions and just monthly repeat junk that was just a bunch of noise that really we didn't even pay attention to most of the time. So we started cutting all that, and part of that was everyone was staying home. I'd go to the office and get the mail for the first time in forever, and I'm like, what is this? We're still paying for this? I didn't even know
Exactly.
we had that. So getting lean was not only cost, but probably more importantly, it was the time of what our people were doing. And we, that's so new, we haven't experienced the effect yet, but I'm anticipating the effect's going to be, a big positive in terms of assessing and redirecting our employees and their activities, and having those activities be more focused on business generation
Yeah.
and the bottom line versus just activities that are busy work. It's one of the
Yeah.
things that I was surprised by is that we've and I've been studying a lot of Jerry's green stuff that just putting people in the right, having the right boxes and everything. And when we took over the business, we inherited a lot of activities that just aren't necessary or prudent to today's situation. So
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's easy to get. We're like, if you could draw like a straight line forward, we tend to like get off track, and every once in a while you got to look and say, okay, what are we? Is all the stuff we're doing? What is it for? I found we obviously do a lot of stuff on social media, and we had a meeting the other day with my team. We're talking about all this content and all these things we're doing, and I was like, we find ourselves talking about like how to do it differently, and then finally every once in a while you're like, I had to sit back. I was like, wait, why are we even doing this? What's the bit, how does this impact us? Like, if we just stop doing it, is it going to cause any problems? And so, it's just, I think we all pick up bad habits, especially us as entrepreneurs and real estate investors. Like, we get a little bit of shiny object syndrome, or we get involved with something, or we subscribe to some tool that we think is going to help us or whatever. And then you forget about it the next day because something got in the way. And, it's just, we pick up some bad habits, right? Every once in a while, you got to go take a shower and clean clean off.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you were saying, you were telling me before that, even though it feels like it's a weird year, like your business, like number wise, that your business is doing good. It just, everybody feels like we're in this muck, but you personally have not really seen a negative impact on your business, right?
Well, what we've seen is that our numbers the percentages are holding true. leads are down, so sales are down, but the percentages are right on the money.
Okay.
As we were distracted, and I'm sure we're not the only ones, with everything going on, did you keep your marketing going? Did you panic? Did you pull back? Whatever. And we've already seen a returning of normalcy in terms of lead volume, and we're working on some stuff. So, leads were down maybe 40% over this period, but our buys were right in line with where they've always been. Our income was not off 40% because one of the things that the approach that I took or have taken is that I wanted to hit a bunch of singles. I looked at every lead as how can I make some money on this? Where maybe other times I'm always looking for bigger, home runs or at least doubles. So, I mean, I've even assigned some stuff to other investors that I normally would have kept as a rental or done something with or hung on to, and I just was trying to turn as many to do as many transactions as possible,
Right.
Whether that was buying it, flipping it over to somebody else, assigning it, or even referring it to realtors. So we've been able to keep the gross profit not as off as the buys have been.
That's good.
So
That's good.
That's been a good.
Did you guys pull your advertising down, or did you stay steady during that time?
Well, we had moved it around a little bit and had kind of tightened up the TV. We were what was interesting is the AdWords, the pay-per-click stuff it's like it went berserk for a second, and there were things that were going on. We're like, what in the world? We'd wake up and had spent half of the month's budget in a 24-hour window or something, and so I think a lot more people were on the web educating themselves and thinking about what might need to be the next move.
Right.
So traffic was way up, even though leads might not have been.
Sure. Yeah.
And so we're working on some stuff to make sure, retargeting, capturing those, and the follow-up is always important, but it's never more important because so many people were, I think they're trying to be prepared for what might come. An example is, and I've met with a company, and I'm trying to get prepared for, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to take the time, but we're partnering with some guys to do short sales. I've had a tremendous amount of calls. Probably 25% of our overall leads are people that are 3 to 5 months behind, and they're heading, even if they can do a modification or something, it's leading where it's good. It's leading, They're not.
Yeah, I think there probably was a lot of things that have people that did lose their job or had some financial difficulty. It's hard to see because all this bunch of stimulus, like who knows how that's going to shake out. But generally, it probably means more opportunities for us. They're just delayed because of all the stimulus and all the noise and all that stuff. So that probably back half of this year, some of that stuff will start to shake loose, right?
And that's an incredible opportunity for us in the business that are going to be are doing what we need to do now to build those relationships and keep those leads, those contacts warm, so that when the time's right, that because that people don't. That's why I never really worry too much about competition, because most people aren't willing to do what needs to be done to take advantage of the situation. So
Right. Yeah. And so you kind of spent some effort on trying to monetize more of the leads that maybe you would have like not
exactly.
fooled with before. And so I think honestly, a lot of people have been doing that, whether it's realtor referrals or other things. And I think, I think the way that it's one way you kind of back to the kind of getting lean and tightening things up. It's like, well, look, I'm not trying to be I know you guys have a brokerage, but it's not that I want to be in the agent business or listing stuff, but it's like, hey, if that helps me offset my marketing costs, then that's
Yes.
a good thing. And so how do I find ways to do, I'm not saying go do skinnier deals overall, but just find some way to turn lemons into lemonade a little bit here and there if you need to.
Well, and I just was real sensitive to people's what their comfort level with interaction was, whether it needed to be I've watched more videos of homes than I've ever watched,
Yeah.
in the prior 15 years of people just walking around, videoing their houses.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've actually bought a couple, pretty much off video, and which is I was buying them right, so I wasn't too worried. But
yeah.
The other thing are people are just, more than ever, just being able to answer their questions and educate them. With everything that's out there, people are overwhelmed with information, and they really just want somebody to tell them.
Make it simple. Yeah.
Make it simple. So.
Yep. So in terms of building a business that's a little more bulletproof, what would you say, like team-wise? Any kind of words of wisdom you could share with team? I mean, part of it is like staying lean. You don't want to be too bloated. Some of it is having people that are more stable, if you can find that, right?
Yeah.
Just it's any kind of words of wisdom there.
Yeah. I think that good people are just so hard, and they're so critical. We've been fortunate enough that we have 3 admin staff members, and all 3 were with the company before we bought it. So I hired them back when the prior owner, when I was the sales manager and running things. So we've got a lot of time and energy invested in them.
Yeah.
We've cross-trained them. One of the things you talk about being bulletproof, and I didn't mention it, I've just lost during this COVID time period, I lost my acquisitions guy, and so I'm back to out running leads and chasing deals, which I love and is great, but that's not a sustainable model for us to be doing what we need to do to grow. So that's an example of right now I've kind of got myself in a corner where I have to do that, where with our staff we've made sure that if we lose somebody, we're not going to miss a beat. We can pick up the slack, and they can do the activities. Now, having said that, we do make it important that they each stay in their own lane and are focused on what they're needing to do. I think just making sure that you're if you don't be dependent on an individual that's not you, because it will bite you at some point. Right now I'm looking at how what I think is critical in that is that you hire character and the personality versus the skills necessarily. Like I know a lot of times in the past I've hired somebody that could come in and do what I needed to do right now, so I didn't have to do it. But then that's all they could do, and they weren't a good team member. They didn't fit in. They weren't weren't good learners, or they did what they did, but that was it. So really hiring good people that are able to do a variety of things is critical.
That way
and
other people can step in if they need to, right? It's not necessarily
right, and,
not necessarily you as the owner. It's just somebody else can step up.
right. Well, and that's what we're learning with when I mentioned running leaner with the staff is that we're in the middle of reassessing, everything. We're having meetings where we're just a blank whiteboard and we're starting from scratch and recreate. And that's one of the things this time has given us is it's been a real, there's some hidden blessings in it that it's allowed people to really look at what they do and why they do it and not reinvent the wheel, but make sure you're even in the right car, so.
Yeah. Awesome. Good stuff. That's great lessons. I think a lot of people had, obviously everybody had more time to reflect on things. And so hopefully during that kind of downturn and of the funk we've been going through, people use the opportunity to get better and stronger. And appreciate you sharing your insights. And you got a ton of experience behind you to kind of, it's not your first rodeo in terms of downturns, right? So I know that.
Right.
And if you're investing right now, I think there's plenty of people that come in one market and they're gone in the next. And so, this is a great business, but if you get knocked out of the game, what does that do for you? So I think what's great about this business is once you can build it to a point to where it's reliable and stable and you're not a one trick pony, you can stand the test of time. So thanks for sharing that with us.
Oh, you betcha.
Yeah. Trevor, you've been a member of Investor Fuel for a while now, you and Carter. Would you mind just kind of sharing a little bit about how the group has, helped you, or you've been doing this for a long time? Like you came into the group
Absolutely. There came a point, it's been a couple years now, and we're just sitting there as owners looking at each other and looking at assessing everything. And we're like, we've got to go outside our normal circles and get in a different room with people that are successful, like-minded, and doing things, the activities of this business that we're not, whether it's, different marketing, different business structures, whatever, just if it's encouragers, and so we really sought out, a couple different things, and we found Investor Fuel and joined, and couldn't be more excited and happy about our decision, and what it's even, it's been a tremendous asset and great value, and I know it's, as I am just really starting to develop deeper relationships in the group where, the value is going to just be exponential as you further those relationships. I love coming to the events. I really feel like, as we all mature and get in our lives and kids and all that stuff, I really feel that I have more friends that I interact with in Investor Fuel than the people I've known and lived around in my own community for years. Just because, my daily interactions, whether it's social media or conversations, that's who I'm spend my time with. And, and on top of that, it's my wife's always telling me I need to get a hobby. And I'm like, well, real estate is my hobby. I love it, and so it's not something that I turn off. So listening to a happy hour or joining another call or something, watching a video, that is what I do in my pastime, and it's all right there. And there's so many people that are I mean the nation's top people are part of this group. Whatever it is that you're, whatever question you have, the person that you need to talk to is in this group. So I would encourage anybody that is thinking about joining to join. It will pay off. I always like to tell the story. My very first time at the very first meeting in Dallas, I met a guy, Michael Pointer out of New York. we did a deal like within a few weeks together, a referral from him, and I basically paid for my year of membership off of one conversation I had at the now not everyone's going to do a get a referral, but just the knowledge alone. I couldn't put a dollar amount on the experience and the education, but outside of that, the relationships and just the enjoyment I get from it is unmeasurable too. So
awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. It's a good group. I mean, I think, if you don't come in and learn tips or make relationships or do JV deals with somebody or something to pay many times what you pay to be a member, it might not be the right fit, but I think there's so much. Yeah.
Well, another thing I was going to add is that we've all been a part of groups where the onion doesn't get peeled back, the ego doesn't get checked, and so everyone's just up there telling their, inflating their successes, and that's the real unique thing with Investor Fuel is that the real situation. The amount of times people have been up there giving their testimonial and they're just crying and they're like ready to get out of this business. I mean, that's happened a few times, and I know it happens. I'm probably sure you guys get phone calls that you can't even count. But just the willingness for people to share, and there's not a competitive nature to it. And I'm even referring to people in my own market that I've known for years that are that I've got to even know better, and since we've joined this group. So
that's great. Yeah. No, you got it. I think we focus on keeping it real. I mean, it's real. If you want to just look at the positive side of stuff, you can just connect people on Facebook and assume everything's always better than it is. But real estate investing is a good business, but it's a financial roller coaster and it's an emotional roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
There's probably not many other entrepreneurs that in the morning are ready to 10 exit, and by lunchtime they're thinking about shutting it down. So
yeah.
But when you get around other people that are like-minded, you kind of realize that you're not the only one that thinks that way.
Well, and I don't, with me personally, there's nothing else I can do. So I just keep pressing forward, and quitting's not an option. So
yeah.
Good.
Well, Trevor, you shared some amazing insights today and info. If folks wanted to reach out to you or connect in any way, where's a good place for them to go to maybe connect with you?
Yeah. Our company is 1-800-2SELL-HOMES. The website's 1-800-2SELL-HOMES.com. My email's trevor@1-800-2SELL-HOMES.com. So it's pretty easy. The phone number is 1-800-2SELL-HOMES. So it's pretty easy to reach us. So I would be more than happy to talk to anybody. I spend a lot of time talking with other people and just sharing and trying to help each other out. So anytime, I
Awesome.
would love to help anyone out.
Awesome. We'll add some of the stuff down in the show notes here. So appreciate you joining us today.
You bet. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for what you and Stinson are doing there. So
we appreciate you, buddy. And everybody, hey, thanks for joining us today. I hope you got some good value out of the show here. I think at the end of the day, you should be focused on building your business so it's more, it's not going to be bulletproof, but more bulletproof, can kind of resist ups and downs in this business. And that's when this business becomes more of a business and not a job, is when you start to be able to scale up. You've got some resources behind you, a team in place that can allow you to not have to do everything all day long. So otherwise it's just a job. So appreciate you a bunch. If you haven't yet talked to us about Investor Fuel and you're an accomplished investor, we'd love to talk to you. Just go to investorfuel.com and jump on a call. We'd just love to talk to you and learn more. No obligations there. See if it's a fit for you and if it's a fit for us. We're pretty restrictive on who we let into the group because, as you can see here, we have really some amazing people and some amazing family members, as we like to call them, that are in the group. So hope you got some good value today, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thank you.
Are you an active real estate investor? If so, and you want to latch on to the power of surrounding yourself with over 100 of the nation's leading real estate investors, all committed to building stronger businesses and living richer, fuller lives, you should jump on a call with us to learn more about Investor Fuel. Simply visit investorfuel.com to get started.